I think I'm live, but I have a problem. Give me 1 second. Okay. That's me leaving my phone on. Okay, so I wanted to try my hand at streaming. I have been working on a little Rust project for myself, and I just thought, as someone who teaches people about Rust, they might be interested in seeing what a full-size project looks like. Now, I'm probably not necessarily the expert for this particular field because I'm not a desktop developer by trade. I'm a web engineer, I guess, if I was being kind about myself, maybe. And I'm trying to develop a desktop app, so I am more than happy to take suggestions on this, and some of the stuff I'll just be muddling through on my own. I'm actually going to talk about a mistake that I've made, which I think is really interesting, maybe, and will be something I'll be looking to fix during the stream, perhaps. But to talk about what it is that I'm building, so I'm currently looking for work and have been tracking my job applications with a mixture of spreadsheets and Word documents. And that's actually not bad, but it's a bit like difficult to sort of manage the different bits, especially if you go to a few interviews with the same company. Even if you've got like one document per company, you end up with like a lot of information all over the place. So I decided that I would try making a little app, and partly to meet my own need of wanting to track this information, but also because like I know a lot of other people are doing that, and also because I kind of just want to keep practicing my own Rust skills. So yeah, the application itself is built in Dioxys. I should say I do plan on monetizing it, but I'm not going to charge people to use it, if that makes sense. I'll come on to that in a minute. What's the best thing to do? Let's show you the application so you can actually see it working. The sort of the USP for this is that I wanted to focus on green flags and red flags. So oftentimes you'll be interviewing with a company and you'll hear something and you'll be like, oh, that's interesting, and need to take it down as a note, but it's also something that really stands out and you want to make it important. And sometimes you hear something and you're just like, hang on a minute, what? Let's see. So if I run the application, I believe we can just do, yeah, so as I said, I'm using, or maybe I didn't say yet, I'm using Dioxys to build the application. Now, I have come to Dioxys again as a web developer. FearsQuest.com, DanielMason.com, even my CV separately are all written using Dioxys. I'm a huge fan of it as a web framework. I need to bring this across. What's the best way to do this? Let's bring that down there and try and... not sure why that wasn't moving. There we go. Okay, so this is it. You can sort of search for companies. Let's put a new company in. Let's pretend I'm doing very well in life. Let's put Amazon in. You can search for companies. You'll be able to select a company. You can add in a roles, software engineering. I don't know, green flags, known for great tech. Yeah. Red flags, difficult process. I have opinions on that process. So that's kind of the core selling points. Now, this isn't feature complete by any means. The thing that I've been working on most recently is making sure that I add in the job description part of it. I am a little bit concerned that I cannot see chat, actually. Try, if you're watching at the moment, if you could drop me something into chat so that I don't panic about it, because I was playing with the streams earlier and I have an old chat up and the new chat has not appeared. Actually, let me just close the old chat and see if I can... I have also learned that it takes about 30 seconds or something for what I'm saying to arrive at other people, which means that it can take a while to see a message back to me, because you guys won't be reacting to anything I say for like 30 seconds. So I can't find it. That's not what I wanted. I've got some messages. It's going to be saying that you have not turned on chat, I bet. Chat is disabled. Thank you, Ash. Let's see. Chat is disabled. I think I know what I did. I think I probably disabled it ahead of time. So now chat should be enabled. I can see chat. That's great. Let me move this onto a new screen. I believe I can pop this out. Pop out, and then if I move it over here. Thank you everyone for your patience on this. There we go. Now I can see what I've got on the screen over here and also see any chats that pop up. So thank you everyone for your patience. You may need to refresh, I guess, to see it if you don't see it immediately. Okay, I am realizing that you can't see the Dioxys screen on the stream. That's interesting. Hello 891. Let me see if I can work out how to fix the screen. I don't know why. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, now we can see it. So here we go. We have companies up the top. You can search for companies that you've listed. You can add new companies. Yeah, it's not called Facebook anymore. Show my age. You can add new roles. Software, apparently. You can't edit roles yet, so now that I've made that mistake, I can't do anything about it. And yeah, green flag. We'll do the same thing again, like cool tech. I recently saw a white paper on a bit of software called Haystack, which is their replacement for their photo storage system that used to just be NFS. And I was impressed that NFS scaled to their sizes, which, like, I think is both amazing to see like an older technology like that succeed really well, and also to see someone like really think about the actual problems, like literally like disk IO kind of directory structure kind of problems, and work out a solution to it, which is very cool. Red flag, leak code. Everyone who knows me knows I have concerns with that as a practice. So that's it at the moment. Now the thing that what's the best way to do this? Let me bring up my notes for the stream again. So, yeah, so the way that I'm sort of thinking about this is that I want to just build this for myself, but I also want to give it away to other people. But I'm also not working at the moment, so eventually what I will do is add if this helped you, feel free to drop me some money, but otherwise don't, because you're looking for a job, so don't do that or something. That's to come in the future, but I do plan on monetizing. I'm just bringing that up front just because code is available in the description and stuff. I don't want anyone sort of supporting me thinking that I'm giving it all away for free, which is not entirely true. So I just wanted to make that clear. And project structure. Yeah, so Dioxys is awesome. I'll bring up their page. You can think of it as a little bit like React if you're from the web development world. It's similar in sort of concept, but the actual look and feel of it is quite different. It is also faster than React. That's also worth saying. I mean, to be fair, if speed is your only concern, there are other JavaScript frameworks that are also very good. Vue is much faster than I think Vue might be faster than Dioxys. It like, you know, there are other things if speed is what actually matters. But this is roughly what it looks like. You've got your elements that are literally just a Rust function, very similar to how in React components are just functions. So in idiomatic Rust in simple steps, we haven't talked too much about 891 says being faster than React isn't hard. That is true. Anyway, in idiomatic Rust in simple steps, we've talked about macros at a very high level. We've talked about things like print line, vec, and some other macros where it's sort of like this sort of like keyword with a exclamation mark, and a lot of times they look like functions, but they aren't. Vec looks like you're starting an array, but you're not really. They're basically just ways of creating DSLs. Like your own kind of DSL inside of. Sorry, DSL is domain-specific language. So you can basically create your own language inside of Rust by using the rules that Rust provides, and this is converted at compile time into actual Rust code before being compiled as Rust code, which is excellent. It can make incredibly complex code very simple, and we are going to lightly cover it later in the series, but not to the sort of level where you'll be able to do something like this. I think this is beyond me, and hopefully most people won't need to know how to do this. Anyway, let's see. So you can see you've got your sort of common HTML elements here. So we've got an H1, which converts into an HTML H1, and buttons that do things. We've got on clicks. These take Rust closures, which I don't think we have covered in idiomatic Rust at all. If you're familiar with Ruby, I think it looks a lot like Ruby closures. There's not a lot to them. Like, I don't think we need to go into much detail about how they work. What's important in this bit, though, there's two things really. The one is that we've got this move. So this is like this use signal is a little bit like a hook from React World, and I'm appreciating that I am describing this a lot in terms of what this would look like in React, and it very well might be that you who are watching this are not that familiar with React. So I apologize. I will do my best to sort of explain. This is basically a hook. So each time the element is run, this signal will basically give count its value, which starts at 0, but each time the element is sort of rerun, it might have a different value. And what's happening in here is that it's moving count inside of the closure with the move keyword, and then adding or subtracting onto count. Now, signals in Dioxys are a little bit weird because this actually isn't a number, but I'm pretty sure it dereferences to a number. And probably mutably dereferences to a number as well, because that's what's inside of it. But the signal itself is a little bit more complex. And so when we dive into the code for the job tracker app, you'll actually see it being used very slightly differently. After that, we have a comma and then some text. And the way this is sort of working is these are literally the properties of the button, with the last one basically here being just the body. I think if we were to actually look at the code inside of here, potentially, you can see how this is actually being sort of constructed together. So we have count being used inside of here to give us the number over here. We have the up, high, and down, low. These are like child elements of the component, with the on click being not present because it's dealing with it in a different way inside of the Dioxys application. But there will be a hook on here. I think you can see it somewhere. Not that. Actually, can't remember how to do it in here. Really selling yourself as a web developer, Daniel. Anyway, I think there's somewhere there is a hook that is looking for changes or clicks on this so that you can see the things changing. It's very reactive, very fast, and I really enjoy using it. Mainly because you get, not because it's faster than React, but because you get the benefits of using Rust. Like, it's harder to make mistakes with Rust than it is with JavaScript or even TypeScript. Anyway, that's my quick introduction to Dioxys. The reason I'm using it for a desktop app is because it will compile to a desktop app and mobile app if you want it to. At the moment, I'm really only focusing on Mac because that's what I'm building this on. However, I think I've worked out why it currently doesn't build on Windows, and that we'll come onto that in a second as well. The project structure is broken down into workspace, which is another thing that we haven't really covered on idiomatic Rust in simple steps yet. That's now wrong. So let's just fix that. So I renamed that package. I'm not sure if I'm happy that I renamed that package, but essentially a workspace is just a cargo project containing other cargo projects. These are the projects inside that have already been constructed. However, I haven't touched mobile yet. Web is not a focus for me right now. So my main focus has actually been on the desktop app, which you've just seen. I've just renamed to Job Tracker. Actually, no, it is still desktop. It's because it's the directory. Anyway. So in here, we have another application, and you can see that it depends on, for example, UI and storage, which are coming from the workspace. Don't know why Dioxys is coming from the workspace. Can work that one out later. I'm also telling it that desktop is... sorry, you can't see my hand, so I don't know how to do this in the little circle. Desktop is, in fact, a feature that I've added so that I can basically enable or disable certain things based on what I'm building for. And again, I will show you that in a little bit. Desktop, though, is not actually where I want to start. So I created a separate package myself, separately, called storage. So all of these bits of data that we're storing here, if I close the app and then restart it, just by hitting R, I think, you'll see all my data pops back again. And the way it's currently doing that is it's using a database. And that, I think, was a mistake. And again, it comes from me being a web developer. I always build stuff with databases, but in this case, I have the file system available to me. And I think maybe I should have just stored everything as JSON files. However, that's actually fine because of the way that I've designed this. And I think this might be where it might be a bit more interesting for people. So in here, we have this concept called a store. And this is a collection of stores. So this is available inside of the other applications and provides access to each of the individual stores for each individual thing that you might be storing, whether it's a company, a role, or a flag. I will go into these in a second, but I'll jump into the company first. And let's see. So in the company store thing, I'm just going to close this again so it's not in the way. You will see that I have a company structure, which is just, it has an ID, a name, and whether or not, like when it was deleted, which is optional. So if it's not set, then it's not deleted. Again, you can probably see my web developer brain working away here. I've got my sort of partial equal for this so that I can compare companies to each other. This may not necessarily be the right way to compare them to each other. I think either ID or name probably is right, but at the moment that's what it is. I have broken down basically every sort of thing that you want to get from them into traits separately. But the important bit perhaps is going to be the store. So that's actually not there. Where did we put it? Oh yeah, okay, so I have another trait just called store T, with the idea here basically being that it will allow you to store anything that, like, you have to implement store for the thing that you're implementing it for. So I'll bet if we look in here somewhere, we will have, oh, maybe not. Stores. Store. See, I refreshed myself on the code just today because I haven't touched this for a little bit and I've clearly not remembered where I've put everything. So there should be a, let's go here, company store, in stores. Stop. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Now that makes more sense. Okay. So the reason there's not a generic one is because the company store has to be implemented for something. So you can see here that I've got a stub company store that is basically a stub store for type of company. Stub store implements store, I'm pretty sure. Store T, stub store. I thought there was a generic implementation. Yeah, here we go. Don't know why that's hiding away. So, clearly need to organize my code a little bit better. Again, this is a generic implementation of store T for stub store of T. So as long as T implements the following types, then it gets all of these methods for free. You don't have to do any further work. This is why I broke up the sort of get name, get ID traits into multiple traits, so that I could just implement those and not have to do the work of like rewriting this for every kind of store that I have. What makes the stub store special is that it just contains a vector inside of it. So a while back I did a video on why I hate mocks, which is my most controversial video, and I'm very happy about that. But essentially, the motivation behind that is that I can create, for the purposes of testing, I can create a stub version of a concrete implementation and put the stub version into tests that require a store, into functions that I'm testing that require a store without it requiring a sort of concrete implementation of that store. That's the sort of general gist of it. It means that if I want to test a function that takes a company store, I don't have to pass in something that needs to talk to a database. I can pass in this, which only uses a vector, which is in memory. So as soon as it's like the program stops, that would disappear. And so get by ID, for example, we haven't really come on to iterators yet. So this is the next step of idiomatic Rust in simple steps. We'll be talking about iterators. The chapter of the book is half done. It's like all the content is there. I'm just working on the wording of it. There is a PR open for, I think, if you're really desperate to see what it is. But an iterator allows us to step through the store one item at a time. The filter allows us to remove anything. So here we're basically passing in a closure that says like get stuff that has not been deleted. So if it has been deleted, it will not pass the filter. So of things that haven't been deleted, then we want to get the first item where the ID matches the ID that we've been given in this function. And then we're going to return either an OK or, so this would end up being an option of type T. We are going to clone it because iterators actually work on references. So to get an owned object back, we use clone, and then if we have it, we'll have an option of T, so we can just return some T as a result instead. But if we don't have it, we need to turn the none into an error. So that's what this last bit does, is the OK or here. And you can see that's basically the same for each of this. Right. Through the storage bit and how the storage stuff works. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll try and keep an eye on those appearing in the next sort of 30 seconds with the time delay. So what I have been doing is, the latest thing that I've added is within the role, I've added a description, which, if you remember from the application, does not currently exist. So the next thing I need to do is add the description, which I kind of want to appear over here somewhere. Sorry, just double checking the mouse actually appears on the screen. Great. Which means that we're moving away from this, which is all not Dioxys stuff, over to actual Dioxys stuff. So in the desktop application, this is where we are building this actual window. It is still using effectively like an HTML view, which is probably slower than if I'd used some like whizzier like proper UI framework. But the benefit of doing it this way is that because it's structured as HTML, it will work on all of those different things, mobile, like desktop. If I want to do a web version, it'll work on a web version without me having to do too much heavy lifting. And it's still faster than Electron, which is, again, as 891 mentioned, probably not that hard. Okay, so if I come into main, this is how the application is sort of structured. We have, so the database I chose in the end was libsql. And actually I think it was 891 that put me onto this. I did not want to use SQLite for reasons. I tried using RocksDB, which is a very modern schemaless local database type thing, which has really good support through SurrealDB. And I did all of that. I implemented all of the stores and stuff. Let's see. Let's go to. Should be able to see it here. So it looks a bit like SQL in terms of the way that you query it, but underneath it's actually not a schemaed database, I don't think. Yeah, it's, you just tell it like, please store this thing for me, and then you can call it back later. The problem I ran into, and I don't know why, I did find other people talking about it a lot. Thanks, 801. When you start the application, in order to prevent like sort of concurrency issues with the database, you end up with a little lock file. So it writes a lock file, and if the lock file is present, then you can't connect to the database. That prevents two things trying to like write to the database at the same time. The problem is, for some reason, when you close the application, it doesn't delete the lock file. So you can run the application exactly one time, and then it will never work again. And I could not work out why this is. I have a suspicion that it's some sort of interaction between sort of how Surreal works and how Dioxys works. Dioxys is doing a lot of sort of managing of things happening in different orders. There's this whole sort of, I mean, it is an asynchronous framework, although the specifics of exactly what it's doing in the background, whether that's just like a, what would you call it, like a serialized async, where it's just sort of like bouncing around between things in the same process, or if it's like a multi-threaded async. I'm not actually 100% sure, but for whatever reason, I think that the way that Dioxys was closing down was causing Surreal to not close down properly, is my best guess. So I gave up on that idea and I switched to libsql, which is really nice actually. But I probably didn't need it, because we're working on a desktop application. I have access to the file system. That is, in fact, if I come back to main, here where we've got it setting up, this is actually, I'm using a crate, another thing we haven't talked about in Idiomatic Rust in simple steps yet. But this is a package someone else has written that I'm just using. And then, so directories allows me to find on the computer you're using, regardless of whether it's Windows or Mac, somewhere to store files that is sensible for my application without me having to think hard about it. If I remember rightly, I need to be careful showing my files off and stuff. Let me just dive in here. I think it should be, and talk this through. The immediate problem I run into is that the folder it's in is hidden. Can I view, show view options? I want to see hidden items, show the library folder, there we go. So in users, so this is Mac. For users library, application support, and then it'll be like com.fiosquest.jobtracker, I think. Oh, just saw it, there it is, okay. So, you can see here there is just a file called database.db, and it is in, you're going to have to take my word for it, I think, in my user directory, Daniel /library /application support /com.fios.quest.jobtrackers. That shouldn't be pluralized, made a mistake there. It's fine. There is a libsql file here. So for people who don't know what libsql is, it is SQLite. It's a fork of SQLite. Not sure why they forked it, but I am happy that they did. It's got different licensing agreements and stuff on it, which is great. So, where was I at? That allows me to store stuff. I am apparently still calling it rock stores here, so let's just change that. Lib skill stores. There we go. I can then pass this into the application and then use it within the application. The application structure. When you download Dioxys, there is a command line tool called, I think it's called Dioxys CLI, but you can just call it by calling DX. And that is in fact what I did in my terminal here, dxserve. When you initialize the project, it reasons is why, yeah. Sorry, 891 says reasons is why, which I think is in reference to libsql being a fork of SQLite. Now it's proper OS open source, and like 3 people make SQLite, yes. I don't think, yeah, my issues with, hey Gregor, hey Daniel, mind increasing the font size? I can try, yes. Let's see. I don't think that's going to be it. That wasn't it. The weird thing is, I don't think normally in other applications you just be like Command plus. What I can do, and I will try and remember to keep doing this, is go into presentation mode. Unless anyone knows offhand how to increase the size in IntelliJ. That will have opened up in a new... Has it opened it in a space? Okay, we'll work it out. I will do my best to keep it larger for you. So, where was I? Yes, it wasn't the fact that there weren't very many people working on it that I fell out of love with it. I used to use it for everything, and now I'm sort of off it. Anyway, so libsql is what I used. I think I will eventually move to just storing it in JSON files, and because of that structure I showed off earlier. No worries, Gregor. I'm glad it helps. You might have to remind me as I bounce back and forward that I have to put it back up again. Because of that structure of the stores, I should just be able to add in like this is how you would write a file or read a file in order to get the data back from JSON. That will also be a lot easier to be portable across multiple different things, at least for file systems. And then obviously if I do a website, then I'll have to be thinking about things differently anyway, because it will be, it'll have to be user-based, we'll have to have authentication, user data can't be intermingled and stuff. So that will be a different problem anyway. And it's very far off whether I even consider doing it. JSON's probably the way to go. There's a package called Serde, which is excellent. After getting criticized, sorry, for calling vecdq in my last video, I'm now like, is it Serde? I think there's no agreed upon way of saying it, but it's a fantastic serialization, deserialization crate, which just works for everything. It has like a generic, this is how we think about serializing and deserializing aspects to it. And then multiple other crates implement this is how we do it for JSON, this is how we do it for YAML, this is how we do it for TOML, and so forth. It's really, really cool. Anyway, I have gone way off beast. So what I wanted to say was when you initialize Dioxys, it actually starts with an application for you, and it just tells you everything you need to know. It's really, really well done. You can tell it like what kind of application you want to build, whether or not you want to use is it Tailwind, the CSS framework that everyone loves and I have literally never used, and 891 specifically keeps telling me to use it. Anyway, you can set it up in all sorts of different ways, whether you're going to be using a server on the back end, and it will give you an application that perfectly deals with all of those sorts of things. So you can just run it immediately and have something up. The one that I built this with was just like just give me absolutely everything. And it starts off with like a homepage and a blog. So I've never deleted the blog out of it. I probably could. You can actually, hang on. Okay, you can sort of see up here that I don't know what this is. Yeah, like I've not removed it, but it just sort of exists at the top. It's just like a normal navigation you might see in a website. But this is the sort of the top level view of my application. And then underneath we've got the individual pages. So if we go into home, that is not where I want to end up, and I know clicking on that won't work. Give me a second. Home is here. So this is what home looks like right now. So you can see we've got the company list. Can I stay in presentation mode? There we go. Okay. So we've got the company list, which is this bit, the role list, which is it's actually this bit, and then the flag list, which is that bit. So if I were to go into each of these, I think it might be quite interesting. We're using the signals that I talked about a little bit earlier for things like what the current name of the company is, what the search string is. Why did I choose name for that? Look at it later. We have this other one called use resource, which is kind of how we do asynchronous lookups. So this was kind of designed more for like calling an API, which is why it's called use resource. In this case, I'm actually calling the database underneath, which is async. Like it's an async call. It won't happen immediately, and I don't want it to block anything while I'm waiting for it. So we end up with this weird async. The closure is not async, but the code block inside of it is, which is why you get this weird move, closure, async, move, code block thing here. If you haven't seen how Rust does async before, when they first announced it in 2018, I think, I was not sold. And there was a famous, like within the community, like a big community member who wrote up an explanation of why he didn't like it. And that sold me on why I actually think it's brilliant. But it post fixes the await. And the reason that's so cool is normally after awaiting something, in these cases, these don't fail. This one does. So oftentimes you will get from calling an await, you don't know what's going to happen in the background. Almost every single time you call an await, you're going to get a result back. And so almost every time, the way to deal with the result is actually just going to be to put a question mark after it. And this is not what I'm going to do here, because I actually do the error handling right here. But you can see that as I change this, I go from having a result with a vet company and a storage error to using that and just getting it down to a company. So if this was inside of a function that actually was also returning a result, the error would actually bubble out of this function using that, which is extremely cool. And even with the mutex that I'm using, mutex is also not covered yet. They allow you singular access to some data. So you basically put some data inside of it, and the mutex will only allow one thing to look at that data at a time, which is really handy in context where you have multiple threads looking at things at the same time. However, it doesn't fail. Like, you just await it and it will eventually return. It is possible to get a race condition, in which case it won't return, but it also won't error. It just won't return. So if it returns, then it will be okay. And if it doesn't return, there's nothing you can do about it. You're stuck. That's just a general programming problem, by the way. It's not a Rust issue. It's just almost impossible to guard against these sorts of things. Anyway, I then handle the error down here. So I'm updating my companies. Yeah, so the company's resource actually exits out of this closure at this point. So this is where we get this resource vec company here. However, if that doesn't happen, then what I do is I try to handle the error using another error handler here, and I just return an empty vector out of the back of it. I don't think there's any way of showing you that. I suppose I could delete. I wonder what happens if I delete the database and then click on here. Must have read it into memory, I reckon. Okay, put the database back again. So error messages do end up in the UI if they appear. So companies is actually the easiest one to deal with. we have the store, we look up companies, we make a list, we click on them, we change the value of I think I've got somewhere, if I remember rightly, store context, I must be getting sending the company out somehow. Is it in the item itself? I bet it is. So again, here's that really weird syntax, this RSX macro, and then we've got our weird, not quite HTML stuff going on in here. The company's list is built separately. So this is just a variable that is coming from, where are you coming from? Companies list is here. So basically, once we've got companies from our resource thing, this will always be safe, I think. So unwrap or default gives me either a list of companies or an empty vector, so that's fine. And then I'm going to iterate through all of the vector, cloning the data as I go, and then passing the data into a company list item. So this will result in a list of RSX macros, each containing a company list item that contains the company. If we come into this is another Dioxys component. The parameter company is just a company type. So you can do this in React as well, but I really like the fact that we're just creating this company list item, passing in a company object with the name company. And getting like all of the type checking and stuff nicely handled here. This syntax, I don't think we've talked about. It allows us to extract data from the company struct. It's like destructuring in JavaScript. I believe instead of iter cloned, so you can use into iter, you're correct. And this is something I talk about. Sorry, this has come up in chat. Gregor is right. I believe instead of iter cloned, you can use into iter. And probably I should be using it here because I don't think I use companies again after this point. So I don't need to hold on to it. Let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. So basically, in Rust, there are sort of three methods of iterating through collections. You can iterate through a lot of different things, but very often you're iterating through collections. So in this case, I'm iterating through a vector. And you can either iterate, if you only need to read the data, you can use iter, which gives you a reference to the underlying data inside of the vector. I'm not seeing any red come up, so I think you're correct in that that's safe to do. You can use iter mute, gives you a mutable reference to the underlying data if you want to change the data in place inside of the original collection. Or if you don't care about the collection, but you do care about iterating through the data, you can use into iter to get owned data inside of the iterator. So at this point, this becomes, if I go back again, you'll see that the type hinting here shows that this is a reference to company with Gregor's suggestion. Here we get to an actual company. So now this is an actual company that we're passing in, not a reference to a company, which it seems happy with. Here is the reloaded application, and it is perfectly happy to do that. So great suggestion, thank you. Let's go over to, go back to the company list page. This is the destructuring. So again, taking that company and destructuring out the items here. We do need a key. So this is really weird. My IDE is convinced that we're not using the ID. We definitely are. So again, I can't help myself but draw parallels to React. When you create a list of items in both Dioxys and React, the underlying framework is interested in whether or not a specific piece of information has changed as to whether it needs to be re-rendered in the page. If you've got a list and you remove an item out of the list, it's hard for it to know that an item was removed and not that every item below a certain point just changed. So by giving it a key, we can basically say like, the following items didn't change because they still have the same key. This is why it's it's a really bad practice to use an index as a key, because the indexes will change if you remove an item from the middle. In this case, this ID is a UUID, so it will always be unique to the item that we're currently displaying. So I'm not sure why my ID thinks that's not used. It definitely is. Anyway, we then have two items. We have our input and a label. So if I come over here, you can see that this is the company list. We've got Amazon Meta and new company. The label is the name of the company, and the value is the ID. You can see also that oh, I don't know whether I should explain this. This weird syntax here is basically just saying that this is not the word type. It's sorry, it is saying that it is the word type, but the word type is, you can see it goes orange because that's a keyword. So I have to put our hash in front of it to make it raw, I think. Anyway, so over here we've got our on change. You'll see we've got an application context. We are setting inside of the yeah. This is weird syntax, and I think this is either me not knowing Dioxys well enough yet, or it's just Dioxys being weird. It could be either one, really. It's probably me not knowing it well enough. So I am setting the application context to the application context with the company ID set to ID. So this changes the application context, and then I'm resetting the application context to the changed context. I know that's very weird. But it's kind of how it has to be, I guess. I think this returns a new context, if I remember rightly. So application context, company context. So if I do, was it not company context? Application context, sorry, set company ID. Actually, yeah, so it does return a new version of itself. That's why we're doing that. So by calling... So it's not Dioxys, it's actually just me being weird. Rather than making this mutable, which probably wouldn't work in this context, calling set company ID on the application context will create a new application context, which I have to tell application context it now needs to set the value of itself to that. That's probably a terrible explanation, but I am going to move on. And if anyone needs me to go over it again, just like tell me and I will try and do better. So application context is where our ID lives. So if we go back in here, we can do the get company ID, find usages. We've got it in a few places. It will probably care about it here. So this is where we were a few minutes ago. This is the structure of the home page. The application context is coming out of this signal. So this is use context is a slightly different signal type than use signal is. I honestly cannot remember the difference. I think this one is... How does this one work? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Where's my little page gone? Did I close it? Let's get a new one. Dioxys, use context. That's not the one I wanted. So... yeah, this is because I need global access to it, if I remember rightly. So use signal is used within components, and you can pass the signal down through components. But if you want to sort of like have different components that are quite sparsely around the place, you can use context instead. And that allows me to basically have one place set the context and then another place read from that change without having to manually pass it down through every single component where it might be needed. So that's why I did that. Sorry. Okay, so when we click on one of these, all it does is calls the on change function. Setting the value to the UUID of this. So Meta's UUID, we might be able to see it. It is going to be this value. This like long UUID here is just their value. That allows the role list and flag list to populate. So if I pick one that hasn't got anything on it, oh, none of them do. Okay, another company. And we'll select that. I need to make it so that it automatically selects that company when you add it at some point. Anyway, that's interesting. Is that a mistake? So I think it's supposed to say... Oh, no, I know what it is. Let's just restart the application very quickly. Right. And we will shrink that. Sorry, I'm forgetting that my head is partly in the way, so if it gets in the way, you might have to... Hi, Dahadir? I don't know how to say your name, I'm sorry, but hello and welcome. Oh my goodness, I didn't even get the first letter right, I apologize. I'm really bad at this. Let me carry on. So prior to anything being selected here, and in this state, there is no company selected. So it asks you to select a company. The way this is done is that company ID here is an option. So if company ID is not set inside of here, we just have a simple match that will either unwrap the company ID and create us a populated role list, or it will return an empty role list, which just has that little message where it just says, that's incorrect. Okay, so let's just quickly fix that. So that should be nested. And at the moment, IntelliJ doesn't do great with Darksys in terms of formatting. So we need to put the comma there. It should work. Yeah, there we go. So we have a div, the ID is roles. Let's put that on a new line as well. And then it contains two things, an H3 and a paragraph, which are the two things that you see here. When we select one, let's go back again. So new company, you will see that we now go into the populated list. If I actually go back to another new company where we haven't written anything yet, that'll be more interesting, I think. And then down here we have like the list of roles on here, as well as the create role form. And then we have a separate element that deals with the flags. Let's think. So what we need to do, or what I'd like to do, is when I add a new role, Rockstar. When I click on this, I want to basically do the same thing where I'm setting the role to this, and then I want to have a text box appear in here that allows you to add the job description for that role. So in order to do that, we will need probably some similar code to what we had earlier. So you can see this is very similarly structured to how we had the company list as well, and we can do the same fix that Gregor mentioned earlier. There we go. Oh my goodness, it's into it. There we go. So that removes the need to actually clone it. And again, oh, do we have some red this time? I think it's okay. I think it's just complaining that this looks a lot like every other bit of Vera handling that I'm doing. So I'm not worried about that yet. I'm not worried about that yet. Triple check. Timestamp now. This, I think, is fine. It's just... Yeah, this is fine. So I'm using timestamps a lot to explain why this is a little bit upset. It's not causing any compilation issues. The issue is inside. Thank you, Greg. Sorry, just turn around to look at the chat again. The issue is that timestamps exist on computers, but they don't exist in WebAssembly. They do exist in your browser, obviously, because your browser exists within your computer. So you can ask JavaScript for what the current time is. However, WebAssembly doesn't have access to JavaScript in quite the same way. You can expose JavaScript functions into WebAssembly code, but it's a little bit more complicated. However, for now, again, because I'm not focused on WebAssembly at the moment, I just have made it so that this function only happens with desktop. because you can only get a timestamp from here. Or system time in the standard library only exists within the desktop version of the code. If you were to try and compile this on for a website, it wouldn't work because that doesn't exist. So that's why it's complaining. I feel like the feature is turned on. Let's just double check that. Oh, well, that's why. Just turn those on. And that should make that go away. Yeah, or not. I just double check this one as well. Odd. Odd. Timestamp. Let's go to, yeah, it's in here. Oh well, it's fine. We know it works, doesn't matter if IntelliJ doesn't. So role list items, going into here, we actually already have, it looks like, a thing that sets the role ID in the context. Why do I have an unwrap on that? That makes me a little bit uncomfortable. Application set or company not set. Okay, so the reason I have an unwrap on this, so unwrap is extremely not idiomatic. So this is maybe a do as I say, don't do as I do. I could change this into an expect, actually. That's probably more sensible. So the reason that I'm unwrapping it is because there's no way to be in this position in the code and not have the role ID set. It wouldn't make any sense. So is that correct? Company, or yeah, sorry, not have the company set. So we're getting company context here. So yeah, you shouldn't be able to get into that position, but I don't think it's good enough to just write on unwrap. So let's behave a bit and write this in correctly. Let's bring this onto a new line. It should be okay. And we'll just do company ID not set. Okay. Application's reloading the background, so that should be fine. Maybe that's... I'll have a think about that one. Definitely needs, I think, some better error handling right here. Okay, so that means we can move on to trying to get the description to actually appear. So, oh, didn't mean that. In the way that this is broken up, as I mentioned earlier, we have the potential to build desktop apps, mobile apps, web apps, and so the UI itself is actually stored separately. So I think I might have started a little bit, yeah, just literally created a module to store this in, but we want to create a component that allows us to edit and set the description specifically. Now, components in Dioxys, in the Dioxys prelude, I think I've mentioned preludes before, but they are just a way of including the most regularly used aspects of a particular crate that you're using. I don't think there are any for the standard library, but you will obviously often include a star to include everything inside of a module. And the prelude module is just like a special module of what the crate authors think that you will need like 9 times out of 10. So that saves us a lot of work. We then have a special attributes in order to tell Rust that this is going to be a component inside of Dioxys. I'm then going to call this role. I'll call this one role description, even though I'm in the role. We'll work that out in a second. I don't think it's a view. I think it's an element. Just double check another one. It is, yeah, okay. AI. Okay. Let's do RSX, and then we can do a H3, I think we're using at this point. So role list should tell me populated role list uses an H3, yeah. So back over here, H3, role description. And then I'll just put in a text area, and I won't do anything else with it just yet. So when our application rebuilds, let's just force it to reload. Oh, hit the wrong button. Yeah, that's okay. So, get back into presentation mode. And open up a terminal. And DX job tracker. And work out where the window's going to open. Okay. Why would you hide there? Okay. So, not appeared yet because we haven't actually put it into the page. So, let's see. We probably want to go to home. I think we're going to need to start dividing this up. Now, I'm envisaging basically that there will be a column sort of here that contains like your, basically like a sidebar. And then most of the information you're actually going to care about is once you've selected a role, that you'll probably start caring about stuff in here. Now, flags probably, well, flags are at a company level, if I remember rightly. So if we go back, yeah, you can see I haven't selected anything here. I can put in architect. It doesn't matter. The flags are at the company level. So I'll probably leave them on the side here and then dedicate this to role information on the right. So to begin with, to just sort of like template it out, we will put some divs in. Maybe semantically these should be sections. There isn't a side type. Let's do... Okay, first of all, we're going to have to do a div anyway for like the wider thing. It's not really a... sorry, for the general area, I think that a div is the right way to go. Let me, minimize this one down again. So I've got a bit more space. Then inside of that, I'm gonna do a side, I think. Let's Google it up again. That has really popped up in the wrong place. It's now taken over chat. There we go. Oops. So, portion of a document whose content is only indirectly related. So that's not it. Let's try semantic web layout. It's going to be like a... Sorry. Yeah, so there's like a sort of a typical... calling out for my typing skills. You've got this sort of like typical sort of like layout, which they do have a side here, but I don't think that's really what we want. Maybe this bit is a section and maybe this bit is an article. That's... Oh my word, I've only been doing this for a decade and a half. Maybe I won't panic about it now. I can always change it later. Okay, drop out of that. Let's just do them both as sections for now. So this is going to be our sort of left bar. Let's give that an ID as well. Left home, let's call it. And then we'll have another section. And this one will be... Whoops. There we go. And actually, in this case, I'd probably want to call it role information. Naming things is hard. Information. And then in here we can have our role description, which I did not actually make public, so we'll have to go back to that one. So it needs to be pub. I then want to go up to... I thought these shortcut keys would work. There we go. I think it'll be here. Yeah, there we go. Pub use role information. So that should then be accessible in here. Role description. Great. We need the weird little bracket things. Again, there's not really, at the moment, this doesn't space things out for us or like tell us how to lay out the code. So I think there might be a Dioxys code formatter, but I'm not willing to use it at the moment. Too scared. Anyway, this has obviously appeared on the underneath everything else right now, so we now need to jump over to the CSS. I don't think I've touched the CSS in this project yet, so that's going to be a bit interesting. Nonetheless, now is probably a good place to commit. So let's just quickly review what we've changed. I think that because we have changed not this. Okay, hang on, let's close that for a second. We did rename that, which I think I want to keep in, and we also made the changes Gregor suggested here. We'll not take that for now. This was a fix. This was a fix. This was a sort of a fix. Not really. It's just very slightly better. So let's leave that one out. And then we will do fix. Naming things is hard. Don't need to actually, let's do some small fixes. So I like to use, I don't know, I can't remember what the style is called, like the Angular commit style. Again, I apologize if I butcher your name, Buon. Yeah, DX format. I don't know. It makes me nervous. I could just run it and see what happens. Let's do it in a second. Let's commit this stuff up and we'll see if what happens. Anyway, I will put some small fixes here, which is not very descriptive. I'll put more information here. So we have, we don't need to reuse vex. So into iter is better than cloned iter. We have renamed an old variable to be correct. It's probably much superfluous, and we have what was the other thing that we did? Oh yeah, we fixed a div, a wrapping div. Not wrapping. It's content, a containing div. I fixed a div not containing the things it was supposed to contain. I don't know. Okay, commit push. Yeah, and then the other thing that we did was we added the role description. I think that is, yeah. So I think this one's a feat. It's only the element though. It's sort of a work in progress feat maybe. Added role description element. So I will add that to the description as well. Currently does not get the description. Cool, commit push that. Okay. If you're up for a painful experience, one Clippy all. Yeah. I do sometimes try to, I mean, pedantic, maybe not Clippy all, but Clippy pedantic, I do quite like. Maybe we'll do that one at some point as well. Maybe not now though. Anyway, let's close this over. Let's back to terminal. Let's cancel this for a second. DX format, does it need the package? Nope, it's just going to do it, and it has made some changes. So let's go back over to, oh my goodness. Let's bring the application back. What on earth am I doing? It's because I think I'm going to blame the fact that the microphone is hovering over my left keyboard, and not the fact that I'm just utterly terrible at typing. Presentation mode, sorry. Presentation mode. Terminal. I mean, in my defense, the macOS people did put Q right between A and 1. I mean, well, they didn't put the key there, but Command Q closes the application, and Command A gives you this, like, all the things you... Not there, it doesn't. Oh, Command Shift A, sorry, gives you the, like, find all actions, and then Command 1 opens up the project panel. So every time I do that, I'm risking closing the entire app in one fell swoop. Okay, we don't need terminal because I already ran that. So the next thing we do need this. Actually, probably better to do this. So now we can have a look at what actually changed with DX format. So yeah, okay, like that. That's good. Blog, .rel style sheet, it has changed. Oh, added a space in. Yeah, okay. Oh, that's funny. I think I just changed that earlier. Bring that down. Oh, maybe not in this one, but in somewhere else I did. That's just too long of a sentence, I guess, maybe. Hang on a minute. This is the blog. This is their own page. I haven't changed this one. That's from the generated code that they gave me. Okay. Let's see. It's interesting that they put the property on the immediate next line. That's not how I would have done it, but if that's how they feel it should be done, that's fine. I'm all for following standards, even if they're not the choices I would have made. Oh, come on. The entire point of having them is so that we all do the same thing, whether we like it or not. Yeah, okay, I agree, I like it. We have not touched the mobile view at all, so again, this is actually their code that they are fixing, and that is funny to me. Yeah, this is what we had earlier. Oh, yeah, that's the same thing you see I was saying earlier about the raw for type. For is also a keyword, obviously, so even though it works, I think this is sensible. Make sure everyone is sort of clued in that it's not the keyword. Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. So notice the UL, they put it onto one line and they've got spaces around it, but where it's a variable, there's no space. So that's one to bear in mind, is that right? This all looks fine, yeah. Sorry, I'm going to very meticulously go over everything. Okay. Oh, I've got more subscribers. Thank you very much if you've joined and subscribed. That's really kind. I've got a clock behind me. I don't know if it comes up on the stream. Camera. Which way do I move? There you go, just over my shoulder. I've got a little thing that tells me how many people are currently subscribed, which is, yeah, if you are watching this and have just joined, thank you so much. Okay, that's fine. Don't skip over rule list. I do want to check everything. I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem to have broken anything. And maybe the way to just test this is to run the tests and the code and just see whether they actually work. Maybe I don't need to really step through everything. Everything else is just a stylistic judgment. So that's all passing. I think I'm currently not testing any Dioxys code, though. I think I'm only testing the code that I've written from scratch. That is probably another one that I need to look at, is testing how to test Dioxys components. So terminal dx, and if it looks the same, I'll just go with it. Sure. DX format. Now, I think, where's the application? Ooh, why are you over here? Okay, cool. So this is all still the same. So that's great. Let's do that. However, what I might do before I do that, no, we can do it in 2 commits, Daniel. Don't rush it. Push that up. I think now that we've got, why? Oh my goodness, this entire stream is just going to be me accidentally closing Rust Rover and reopening it. Right. Enter presentation mode. And we can close that. Spoilers. GitHub. CI. So I'm using GitHub Actions. Not that anyone cares, but not my favorite CI process, but it's the one that we have. And might as well just, is this going to work? Let's have a look. So we've got cargo clippy. I think in CD I'm running an actual build. So how do I do that? Probably badly. But should we just do it anyway? I think there's some improvements I should be making here. I mean, for a start, half of these don't actually work. You can see that like a load of it's commented out. Weirdly, Windows builds in CI, but not... Oh, hey, Dimitri, how's it going? Yeah, Windows builds in CI, but not on my Windows machine. So that's something I need to look at. And again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier about the fact that I chose to use libsql, which may have been a mistake. I think that maybe when I run the Windows runner in GitHub Actions, it might actually contain libsql, the build libraries for it. Not sure, but it doesn't work on my machine. It does work on theirs. Anyway, let's get format in. Of course, I already have a format, and actually, let's just put it at the end as well. Also, again, I'll just like for people joining, if you put anything in chat and I don't respond for like a long time, partly it's because it takes 30 seconds after I notice it and say something for you guys to even hear it about that anyway, because YouTube is slower than Twitch. But also I just have like a lot of screens open and all the chat's on a tiny little window, specifically chosen so that I'm looking at it. I'm looking at you guys when I look at the chat, but I have to look all the way around because I don't have the best desk layout at the moment. If this turns out to be, I mean, so far I'm having fun doing this stream. If I want to do them again in the future, I might actually just rebuild my desk and swap everything around so that things are a bit more sort of central for the setup, but we'll see how it goes. So this is going to be, sorry, DX format. We'll do Dioxys formats. Runs on, yeah, I think this is all fine. Ubuntu latest. I have this in here. I don't think I really need these. I'm going to copy it anyway. Let's put these other steps in first. Steps. This does not look tabbed in correctly. There we go. Weird that it brought it all in. Okay, so that's all fine, and then we literally, sorry, I haven't actually even checked that this is possible. So I'm going to assume that DX format has a like a thing that will just not, yeah, runs in check mode, exit with 0 if input is formatted correctly. So what this will allow us to do is basically fail this step if it's not formatted correctly. Now, thanks to, and again, I apologize if I'm saying names incorrectly here, everyone. Like, thanks to you, there's now an extra step in the process. So let's commit that. This is a CI/CD issue. Add DX format to CI. Push. And if I go to, sorry. GitHub, VS Quest, job tracker. Bring this, oops, over here, here. It won't run unless there's a pull request, I think, for it. So add job, that's technically add store role description. Add role description to stores and allow inputs on desktop. This is not, this is a draft, so create that, and then here we go. So if I go over to here, docs as format has already passed, so that's good. Ooh, docs as format. Just check over here. I don't I don't know that that's right. That was really quick. I guess we'll see when I inevitably make a mistake as to whether or not it actually is right. Yeah, I'm going to make a mistake at some point. I don't think we need to worry too much about it. What I ought to be doing is adding something that just makes sure I've run a load of checks before I actually commit it. You'll have seen that I have not run Clippy, for example, or cargo format the entire time that we've been doing this. So actually, that's not true. Cargo format I've got set up so that every time I save a file, it automatically runs in IntelliJ. So that one does work. Clippy I've not been looking at though. Let's see if I can beat it to it, I guess. Cargo Clippy. So if you haven't seen my video on this, Clippy is this awesome tool that will basically check for sort of common like mistakes in patterns of writing Rust, rather than sort of what you might get from your normal sort of like linter and things where it's just like, you know, this is just a mistake. It'll tell you things like, hey, did you know this function accepts a char and you're passing in a 1 character long string? You should try passing in a char instead. It's really, really cool. Gives you lots of like efficiency boosts and all sorts of things. So I haven't actually asked. I hope my sound is okay for everyone. I hope that you can hear the music and stuff. I don't. My first ever stream, I don't know what I'm doing, so hopefully everyone's having fun anyway. I am. Okay, so next we're going to need to actually store the information. So we have, let me just go back and check. In the storage, if I check role, I want to make sure I've got a way of changing the description. I have not actually, oh, I do have, oh, look at this. I'm way ahead of myself. This is great. So I've already created 2 traits for getting and setting the description. How do I use these? Am I using these correctly? I bet I'm not. Oh, well, it's fine. I suspect the reason I probably created them is, as I was showing earlier in the stream, for company, I'm able to create just a completely generic implementation of the store for company, because of the way the traits work, which I've not quite done here. I think it's fine. Anyway, so we're now going to need to... Now, this is the downside to my process. So I've got my stores. We're currently using the libsql one. Maybe I don't need to change anything. So get by name, find by name, create, delete by ID. Okay, so I don't have get for company. What I probably want to do is so sorry, I should explain myself. What I'm thinking about is the fact that when we create the role, we do so without giving it a description. So it's like the next step in the process. If I go back to role in here, it is a string, but it just creates it with an empty string as a default value, which you can see here. So the idea is you create the role, you click on the role, you add the description to it. And let's see. Sounds good. Thank you, Gregor. Let's see. So we want to update this. Now, how did I... So in my role store for libsql, we can see here that I basically got... Oh, yeah. Okay, so... there's now a few former colleagues watching, and they will know that I like to have append-only databases, which I'm not doing in this case. So normally what I would probably do is create a new row every time the data changes. So you've always got that history going backwards. I'm trying really hard not to do that right now. I'm not going to over-engineer this. I'm so bad for over-engineering things. We just then want to do a insert. So we will have like a create somewhere here. So this is going to do an insert, but we need to do an update. So in our role store, let's see. Oops. Role store, I think, yeah. Get for company. Maybe. I think any of these should be updatable, right? So any item that implements these values is still good enough to put it in. Let's just go with it and see. I think I'm overthinking these things. The lights on me are very hot. Update is probably the right word. This then you probably just saw everything go red in here. So because I've changed this trait, in order for my code to be okay, I need to like make sure that everything that says it implements this trait also now implements this new method I've added. There might actually be a better way of doing this. I'm just going to quickly check. I can't remember the key. No, sorry, that wasn't it. Refactor. I think refactor this. No, that's not it. Shift F6. No. F6. No. Command F6. No. Okay, fine. So it probably was the right way to do it then. So that's fine. We'll just go through everything one at a time. So, oh yes, what I was going to say about the downside of the way that I've done this is that I still have RocksDB in here, even though I'm not going to use it. So I kind of ought to remove it, but I'm a bit sad about doing that. I'm probably not going to do it on this PR, which just means that I'm just going to have to update RocksDB on this PR and then remove it in another one, which is all very silly. But I'm just going to do it that way. So, it's almost the same as this in each case. Can anyone remember their SQL syntax? Update role, value, and then it's probably not going to be this one actually. But I'm getting my params here, so let's just double check. This is for role, so I need to add in description. So, why do I do it? Why do I do that? I don't know that I need to do that. So I'm taking, sorry, the thing I'm questioning here is that I'm taking ownership of these things. I don't. Oh, okay, yeah, company ID, that's fine. Oh, okay, no, I'm just being silly. Yeah, so UUIDs for ID and company ID do need to be turned into strings. Description does not need to be turned into a string because it already is a string, and we're taking ownership of this object. So we are basically dissecting it into its component parts. We don't care about role continuing on after this point, which means we can get access to all the strings without mucking around too much. Which means in... I've now lost my position. Create is fine. Why are you now sad? Duplicate definition. Because I'm being silly. Because I'm being very silly. Update. This we do not need. Self-get by name dot is So the reason for this function is basically it's checking beforehand whether the role name already exists. Now that's probably a mistake. I suspect that probably means you can only have a role named one thing. That's hilarious, Daniel. Okay. Where are we? Issues. Wait, projects. Let's do that. And we'll add one to fix the bug. Fix can only have one role with a given name. And then we'll just come back to that at a later date. We check if a role exists by name for creating it. Obviously, you likely will apply to many roles called the same thing. Note should probably, so I think we probably need to include application date with role listing to show different e.g. I might apply to SWE at Amazon at in several departments. To disambiguate, is that a word? It's not complaining. I probably need to actually think about sorting out the repo a little bit to give it like different types of issues. And so if we click through on this, it probably, I mean, like do we have, oh look, there we go. Perfect. That's all I wanted to do. Okay, back onto this. We're not going to worry about it for now. Back over to update. We do not care because we know, well, we sort of care because it needs to exist before we can update it, but then the actual check is also going to make sure that happens. The reason we needed something in the create is, say for company, like you probably shouldn't have multiple companies that are called the same thing. Like there should just be one Amazon, for example. And so to prevent you getting duplicates, as you enter in Amazon a second time, it will see that there is already one called Amazon, but at that point, the ID will be different because we're creating the ID on the fly and it's a UUID. So we have to check that specific part to make sure that we're not duplicating data. With role, it doesn't make sense because you will probably apply to multiple roles, such as software engineer with the same name. But we might want to say, like, you apply to this software engineer on this date and this other one on this other date in our list of things. We can come to that later when we make sort of UI decisions around it. So update, we are not changing ID. So let's get rid of that. Oh, but into params, this is another reason that this is a bit of an issue. We will always get back this vector shape, which means ID will always be there. But it'll always be the first one. So that might be okay. Maybe I just don't do one. because I've added in description, that's now changed the order of these. Oh, so painful. I think this is more of an issue with how I've done libsql, how I've implemented libsql in this way, rather than it being, you know, I think this is an on me issue, not on the library thing. So I want to go back to into params again. Description is now 3, so 4 and 5 need to go up. This will always be the last one. So after 2, they all need to go up 1. That's basically, I think, the thing that we need to do here. So that's fine because we're selecting by 1. Like 1, that's fine. This one's not. So it'll be 2, 3. Sorry, that'll be 4, 5, 6. Okay. Same here. Well, actually, no, we can just fix this one because this is the update one. We can just do description in here. Then we've got company ID. Wait, have I deleted this out of the wrong thing? What have I done? Oh, company ID is... Oh, Daniel. I've got myself in such a mess. ID, company ID, description should not come before name, which also means that the other ones are still incorrect. So 1, 2, and 3 are now all correct. Oh my goodness. Let me close this window down so I've got a bit more space, and let me close this one down so I've got a bit more space. Okay. So update is fine. We don't care about that. It's basically just this. I think that's the only change. Luckily, this bit of the code is very well tested, so we'll find out in a minute whether all this works or not. So lifetime parameters or bounds or method update do not match the trait declaration. I don't know. Okay. Now it does. I mean, technically we could take... So we could... Okay. We could take a reference at this point, which is probably sensible. Into params is going to be a slight issue, though, because we'll be taking the reference to the role and then trying to turn its parameters. So we'll be cloning the strings anyway. Alternatively, if there's a different way, I think this is actually just something, yeah, this is just something I've come up with. So we could probably do something like get params instead of into params, or just like params, and then return references. And I'll bet that we can tie the lifetimes together so that as long as role still exists, you can point to the string slice inside of role rather than like converting it to a string. I've got to add a to-do list. Okay. Actually, no, I'm going to leave it for now. It's just, it would be more efficient to not clone it all of the time. Absolutely. But also, it's going to happen so little. I'm not going to worry about it for now. And I'll just at some point in the future, I'll do a review of like, what can I do to improve this? And I'll probably pick it up at that point. So going back to here. Going back to update, we've got company ID, name, description, data supply. Okay, so I think this is fine. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Okay. Data deleters 2, that's fine because we're getting this in a different way. There's just going to be numbered differently. Same here. Okay, so if I run this, it won't compile because we haven't done all of the traits. What we can do though, because we know for some of these, so this is, actually this is stub. This one's pretty easy to do because it's just a, why have I done that? Oh no, that's fine, okay. So, in this case, what I want to do is replace the one that's in the vector. So this is the stub store. Store store dot I'm wondering, not for it's going to be find role dot get ID item dot get ID. So this will get us a mutable reference in theory, option of mutable reference. So we do want an OK or with an error, storage error not found. Yep. That gives us our mutable reference. And then in here we want to do, okay, let's just do OK. Oops. Return unit type OK. And then I think we might be able to do this. Okay. See what happens. Rocks Company, we are not going to implement it for because oh my goodness, yeah, okay, because I've done it on this core store, it's going to have done it on everything. Stub store is going to get all of the stub stores, but there'll be multiple, like the libsql and rocks flag and stuff, they're all going to be separate. Rocks I'm not going to care about, so I will literally do I think I can do control n, no, control implement methods. That's literally it. That's what I'm going to do. So it won't work. It'll just error. I don't care. Oh. He says I don't care, then realizes he's got CI processes that do. Okay, we'll have to come back to it. Very frustrating. Should have taken this out ages ago. For our purposes now, after create. libsql. I mean, to be fair, let's just do it for all of them so that we can actually get the test running. It'll fail on the ones that we have not implemented on. I think it's fine. And then I can get somewhere. How are we doing on time? It is kind of 20 to 8. Oh, these aren't companies anymore. These are flags. Did I do the same mistake here? Flaff, I saw it, don't worry. Flag. Good. Yeah, I was actually hoping to get to writing the JSON implementation of the store and removing the RocksDB store tonight. I don't think that's going to happen. Classic software engineer underestimating how much work something is going to be, isn't it? I hope I'm not alone in that. And this one's a roll. Okay. So now hopefully it will compile and just fail a load of tests, and that'll be fine. We can work through them one at a time. And use variable item, don't care. There we go. Yeah, that's interesting, because of course I haven't written a test for this, so it won't fail it. If I write a test for it, then I have to implement it for RocksDB. I think I want to write a test for it, and then I guess it shows off like how I think about writing tests for this sort of weird, like heavily trait orientated code. Okay, fine. Let's look for let's go to rocks roll. So the way that I did this is you can see there are like a huge number. All of this is test stuff. So from line 87 down to 338 is just test code, but it's different test code. If I go back to how do I view it again? I'm going to come out of presentation mode just for a minute so I can see this bit over here. Oh. Oh, okay, it's not there anymore. Okay, just rerun it. It won't have to recompile it. So you'll see that, for example, I have in stores. Actually, that's not the right one. In store, we've got like roll and then just like tests. And then you can see these are all broken down into like the different kinds of stores. The reason for that is that if you look at this, for example, here we've got the mod stub role store, which is stub role store is here. Each of these tests is 2 lines. The reason being is that the first line creates a stub store and the second line passes it to another test or a test function. And you'll see that the test function itself accepts a generic that is, I don't know why I called it C, I bet because company. Ugh, Daniel. It accepts a store of type role, and then that allows me to create a test for each implementation separately, just by creating the store that I want to test and passing it into the test function that tests a store for that behavior. And what's cool about this is that it means that every single one of my stores works the same way, guaranteed, at least as far as the test is concerned. And that is why I can use the stub stores in place of the real stores in other test code, so that the other test code doesn't have to create a database connection or anything like that. That's sort of the crux of why I do it this way. How did this pass code format look? There's no space there. Anyway, so we want to do, in our rule store in particular, we've got our create up here. So we want to create a new function called async fn test update. And I think we'll do literally like a, we'll create the role, we'll store the role. Look, a lot of this is basically the same, isn't it? It's almost going to be identical to this test, actually, because instead of deleting it, we're just going to be updating the description. So we are going to store the role. We're cloning it. We are doing we're checking that it actually got stored, so I think I'll keep that. And then instead of this store delete by ID, what I want to do is role, let's make this mutable, dot description equals, this is a description. And then instead of delete by, we'd like to do update. I would then like to do none of this. Just going to take role, I think. And then in here, what we would like is to check that if we do get by ID dot await dot description, dot unwrap in this case, actually, dot description equals role description. So borrow of moved value role description. So it's because I need to clone again. It's another good reason to turn it all into references, I think. Okay. I then need to go down into each one of these. So I don't actually need to do the rock swamp because we just don't have to implement it. So only in stub and libsql we need to do it, but otherwise we don't. So that's stub. That's rocks, don't care about that. That's roll. Let's just scooch past it. There we go. Create. And not this. I bet that's just changed something outside as well. Try. And yes, I know in testing, I've got like the perfect way to test this without creating like a proper memory, without creating a file for libsql, because it will create a memory store doing this, where I create with the path :memory : for whatever reason, this will actually create the database in memory. So I could have done that the entire time, but this will probably matter more. Thanks for joining, Gregor. Really glad you were here. I hope this will be on, like, what do they call it? VOD, video on demand. So you can watch me stumble all over the place to your heart's content later. But thanks for tuning in. Okay. Sorry, what was I saying? Stumbling all over myself. Yes, when I do the JSON version eventually, that would want to write files, I think. So again, I could use like a temporary file system or even like an in-memory file system using crates and stuff, but I think it's probably just easier to keep the stub, personally. I know people disagree with me on this, it's fine. I don't... So let's rerun this. With luck, it still passes, and we now have not rocks because it's not there. Update roll. So hopefully that's okay. No, it's not, because look. Oh my goodness. Let's just very carefully step through this again. We create a role, we store it in the database, we clone it and make sure that the ID is still the same. Don't know if I necessarily need to clone it there, but let's keep it there. We then set the description, update it, and we make sure that when we get it back, it's now got the description updated as well. So rerun again. Ooh. Fails, but interestingly not on the stub one. Let's double check that the stub one. That was the one I wasn't expecting to work, so that's interesting. So I wonder if I've just made a mistake with the SQL. That seems likely, right? SQLite failure. They haven't updated the error message names. It still says SQLite. Okay, so in here, update, go down to store role for libsql. It's near the bracket, so I've probably just written update role incorrectly, so let's just get a window open for it, I guess. So it's the same thing. Let's just check what SQLite says. Okay. Oh yes, okay. Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay. So all we need to do then is basically just do... Let's move this onto multiple lines. Do I already have multiple lines in here? I think I do up here. Yeah, let's do it that way. So it will be, what's the button? Set, indent it a little bit. Doesn't really matter because there's a, I don't know. The thrilling bit of really laborious writing out code. I mean, I didn't even write a where in here, so that was never going to work, was it? And now the first value actually matters, which is going to be good. Oops. So close, so close. Let's just double check. We don't need to worry about that. I mean, we could do limit 1, I guess, just to be absolutely certain that only one thing is changing. Probably overkill for this, but and then we'll rerun. I expect there's still something wrong there. It's fine. Near limit. No space. It's a very silly reason to have a error. Is it still near limit? Where ID? Just checking that we don't need multiple equals or something. So where ID? I mean, we don't need that. I could just drop it. It's bugging me as to why that's the case, though. Let's leave it. Hey, there we go. Okay. So I ought to update. I'm not currently working on flags and stuff. Let's do with coverage and just see how much we're missing, because this was pretty well covered before, but I think it's probably going to say like this bad now. This one. Why are you not showing me the report? I actually, okay, fine. Spoke too soon. I only got coverage working like a couple hours before this stream. I think I reinstalled Rust at some point and it uninstalled like all of the like optional packages like LLVM and stuff. So 54 is pretty bad. Why? Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. 97% of stores with a drop on rocks, which, yeah, obviously. So we actually know that update will work on company and flag anyway, because we don't need clever implementations for those. They've got that like generic implementation. So I do kind of want to add the tests for that. Yeah, let's do it. So company, company stuff store. It's not going to be where the test is though. It'll be here. So again, we are going to be duplicating. Delete is probably the closest. Just change that to test update. Companies, fine. Create, get by ID. That was all the same stuff. So now we want to do. I mean, actually, oh gosh. I'm just reading this thinking this is a better written test than the one I just wrote, and I just copied and pasted the other thing. Like, we can get rid of this and just say, oops, it's still .await though, and then just wrap that in an OK, and that will still be the same thing. It'll just test the entire object, not just the description, which is fine because the description's already changed, I think, or it's not. Oh, sorry. I think that's a better test. Yeah. Company.description. Because we haven't given companies descriptions. Oh, of course. We'll just change the name, I guess. Name. Updated name. ToString. Means it needs to be usable. I might just be able to change it from this line, can I? Yep, okay. So now it's not delete by, it's just going to be update. No ID, no timestamp. Oops. Expect that to be okay. Get by company ID. I think I need to clone somewhere here. We expect this to be okay. Company. So with luck, where we've got our companies down to 90, actually it won't be on there, will it? It'll be on. I also haven't called this anyway as well. That's another mistake. So we're expecting company mod to go up, but we won't because we're not calling it for. It won't change the test coverage. It's fine. We should still test it, even if it's generated sort of thing. Actually. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I think we've got what we want out of this. We didn't need to do stubs role store. We have done, I think we should probably do the flag. We should do the flag. Okay, so the reason that I'm thinking about this is that although flag doesn't have a description, as I mentioned earlier, there's no way of changing them at the moment, so we probably need to add that functionality in at some point. Since we have to add an update for role to add the role description, we might as well do the functionality to add the to update a flag, even if we're not immediately going to use it. We know that we're going to need it in the future. So unfortunately, that just means lots more boring update code. So company is the same thing. Like, there's no way of renaming it at the moment, so we should just get it sorted. The syntax is so different. So company ID, we are not changing the ID. Oh. Let's drop there. Let's see. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's still 1. That's the company store. So then we need to update the tests. Test update company. So I don't think did I not write one for? That's what? No. I write this in entirely the wrong place. I did apparently. Don't know what I was thinking there. Just take that out. Test creates, updates. No, that's gonna be annoying. Okay, no, it's fine. It's sorted. Just double check they didn't import it up here. Yeah, okay, cool. So we're not doing RocksDB, we are doing libsql, we are doing stub. Double check that we did stub. That does the code. Stub I've not updated, so let's do that. I know the mistake I just made. I know. Oh, no, okay, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Okay, so that's that one done. Flag next. Did I, however, update? No, I don't need to. So it's just this one needs to update. Find my name, create. It's pretty close to this one, I think. So we'll just grab this. Is this? That's fine. Flag. Into params, that's fine. Update flag. Flag. I have absolutely no idea what the things on this are called. Sorry, I've got it as a presentation mode. I don't know how easy it is for people to see. Let's see if we go here. So flag is ID is 1. Company ID is back in again. That is flag color. And oh, there's one that's name. Okay, name, and possibly date deleted. Okay, flag mod. Oops, no breakpoints, please. We'll close that and that. There we go. So async test create flag. This is the one that I'm going to be duplicating again. And we will fix those empty lines quickly. Update flag. Interesting, we could just change the color on this one. I think that would be fun. Go away. So that's all okay. Flag.color equals, I think it is that. Do the make it mutable, update, flag.clone, timestamp go, and I've got Yoda style in here. Let's get rid of that because it's not what we were using elsewhere. And then okay, flag. And add the two calls in. Da, 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 here. And also that's rocks lib. Okay. Hello Ryan, glad to see Rust Bros use Rover. I actually I will say I have been finding VS Code has come leaps and bounds over the last few, like 2-3 years maybe, or maybe especially over the last year. It's definitely really upped itself, I think. So no shame for people who do use VS Code, which I do use. I am using VS Code on my when I do the Iris series generally. Is that the correct theme for, okay, so the reason that 891 is asking that is that the theme I use on VS Code is the extremely beautiful Ashokai Urpal, which was made by 891, who is just an excellent designer. There is a version of it on IntelliJ, and I'm not going to shame 891 by turning it on. Sorry. Yeah, it's a beautiful theme, but it's I'm not using it on IntelliJ. I do use it on VS Code, like just generally, like even not beyond when I'm using it specifically for creating the little graphics that I use. Yeah. Sorry, stepped on my pedal. Updates and update. But yes, you should all go download. If you are using VS Code, you should go download Ashokai Urpal, and the link is in the description of all my videos where I use it. Yes, as 891 says, available for Nova VS Code and soon IntelliJ when you can be bothered. And Helix, oh, that would be an interesting one. Oh, how are you getting on with Helix, actually? I know you were playing with it for a while. And this is where the lag between me saying stuff and answers coming in chat becomes really apparent. A Neovium theme. You need to start charging, I think. What am I doing? I think I just run this now, right? I think we are there, maybe? I've gotten completely tangled, so let's have a look at... I don't think this will work because I think we're missing... Oh, interesting. Company. Here we go. No column description because I have copy-pasted myself. Let's have a look. Update company. Update. Down to libsql for company. There we go. Yeah, of course. So into params, let's just check that. I think we just drop it off, right? ID, name, date deleted. Yeah. Don't need it. 3, 4. It's not enough fields. Rerun. Oh, if that was the only problem, that was pretty nice. I think that's a fair answer, yeah. Man, the number of times I've tried to get into Vim, I just don't have the brain capacity for it, I think. I know NeoVim's supposed to be obviously much nicer, but even just navigating around. Do I have it turned on in here? I usually have the Vim plugin because every so often I just like to try to use the key commands because they are really good. Like the whole concept of how it works is very good. But it's, yeah, my brain. It is literally just 3 columns. What am I doing? Okay, so 1, 2, oops, 3. Do that again. There we go. So testing, even in Rust, is still very important. Or you are welcome to just blame the fact that my brain is cheese. I think we're good there. So we've now got, I'll have to check this properly, probably outside of presentation mode, because I think it's not enough context for my brain. I think we now have update functions on libsql, the stub store for flag, company, and role, and each of them has tests. So let's commit that. In fact, we can check that now. So we've got our test update company. We've got it inside of, that should be the stub. Yeah. And then nothing for rocks. Am I even testing? Oh yeah, so nothing for rocks, and then we've got it in libsql. This is our new update code. Rocks we're not doing. Libsql again is fine. That's tested. That's the stub. And that is libsql. Rocks is not being updated. It's just rocks is not being updated. Libsql. Libsql now has a new field, which is description. So we've made sure to update that. Description is not added when created. There's an interesting thought. Maybe it should be. It doesn't change anything. It's a bit of a weird one. It doesn't change anything in terms of our tests and stuff like that, which maybe means they're not great tests. However, I think when we do create, we ought to be adding in description, which is 4 here and comes after name here. So if I do that, oops, in the comment, and rerun the tests just to make sure. It shouldn't make any difference because it's going to be an empty string. It's defined to be default to an empty string. Oh, look, it did make a difference. Item helps us. That's not it. So what went wrong here? Near 5. Yeah, okay, fine. I've just done something very silly, clearly. Create down to, what do we want? Roll. Libsql roll. I bet I've forgotten a comma or something. Yeah. The helix thing flips it in such a way that you don't need as much memorization. It goes selection verb rather than verb selection. See, even that has me thrown. There's as a slight aside, not to do with Helix, but to do with Vim, there's a really good sort of online game you can play to practice. But the guy made it a subscription, which I kind of, I say the guy, I actually don't know if it's a guy. The person who made it a subscription, which kind of irks me. Like, I feel like it could just be a game that and they could literally just put it on Steam and sell it, and it looks great. It feels like it would help you really memorize how to move around in Vim, but I don't fancy the subscription, even for like 1 month, because it's probably not enough time for me to get it. Yeah, maybe I need to look at more IDEs generally, though. I really only use the 2. Okay, tests are passing. Happy. The only other things that have changed are that is reordered. Interesting. I wonder why that happened. Oh, probably because that's odd. not going to worry about it. So async trait, I think this one's worth explaining as well. In Rust, you have traits and you have async code, but what we don't have is a way of easily making a trait that contains async functions. There are ways to do it, but then they're limited, and in this case it doesn't quite work. So I think there was it the GAT lifetimes? What were they? Off the top of my head, I can't quite remember. They did a lot of work to make it sort of work, and it works in these specific circumstances, but where you've got fairly where you have references and stuff, it still doesn't work. So the way that the async trait gets around it is that it basically creates a box around everything, which is a non-zero cost abstraction, which is why it's not part of the standard crate. So by using async trait, you're basically trading off some performance to get a lot more ergonomics in the code. It's going to be fast enough that it doesn't matter unless you're creating tons of if you're instantiating tons of the structs that have it applied to them, they won't be getting instantiated on the stack, they'll be getting instantiated on the heap, I think, if I remember rightly. So that will matter if you do it a lot, because you'll be requesting a lot of memory from the operating system, which is a blocking thing. Or if you don't have access to the heap, which sometimes you don't. For example, if you're using embedded programming or something, you may have access to the heap via a what are they called? You can create your own memory allocator, and so oftentimes for things where there is no heap memory because there's no operating system, people will create a memory allocator that will manage with paging files and stuff. So sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, kind of depends. Anyway, that's probably, I hope I've explained that correctly, we'll see. So feat, add updates function to stores, update method technically, commit and push. Okay, we are, oh wait, why did that have errors? I think it was for repeated code. Let's just double check. Cargo Clippy will probably tell us if we had anything that was really bad. Yeah, that's fine. It's going to fail the... Oh, no, it's still... it's just a warning, so it's okay. It's just upset that we have the variable, but we haven't used it, so it would like us to explicitly say we're not going to use it by putting an underscore in front of it. I might be really naughty here and just amend that commit, and then amend and push, and then force push it on top. It's only one. Anyway, everyone's getting to see my terrible habits. Okay, let's see. So we now have a way to update. That's accessible via the individual store, which is each one is now available in the stores object, which means that they're all available to our desktop app. So if I go, trying to close the app again, I can now go back to desktop. We would like to, no, it's going to be in UI actually. So in here, I think the first thing I'd like to do is move the description into the right place on the page. So if I go back to terminal dx serve, reopen our application again. Might take a moment because it's got a couple of bits to recompile. Should be right. Minimize that because we don't need to see it. In the here, maybe this is not the right place to have it. That's not how that works. Where is this? Yeah, this isn't desktops. It's probably not the correct place to have this. It's probably worth moving in the future. It doesn't matter for now. What I would like to do is get the role ID. Actually, no, forget that. What I said I was going to do a second ago. We will split this using Flex, I think. Yeah, we'll use a flex box to do this. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat because I'm sure that 891 will correct me on the correct way to do this. Or Dimitri if he's still on, both of whom are better front-end engineers than I am. So the style sheet for this is going to be here. So I haven't changed any of this yet. I need to at some point, but for the time being, let's split again. This is going to get a little bit more difficult, but and then we'll go back to home, and then we'll get rid of that so we've got a bit more room. Download full line no, I don't. I think everyone who knows me knows I'm not a fan of the AIs. I'm sure they will get better, but right now I find them more of a hindrance. And that to each their own. I obviously have no issue if you personally use them. Anyway, display flex, and then that might be enough to get the effect that we want. Where is our application gone? Why do you keep appearing all the way on this screen? So far away. It is not. I'm pretty sure that it watches the assets thing. Let's just look. Oh, maybe it doesn't because we don't have a web app. It might not. Let's do... I mean, there's always like background color, not pink. Oh, is it? Is it not running? Why? It knows that this changed. Oh, silly. It's because it's an ID, not a class. There we go. Perfect. I mean, that was perfect. So we've got our role description in the correct place now, sort of. I mean, we'll probably need to work on like the paddings and stuff, but for now it's fine. So next up, I could just commit that, couldn't I? There's no harm in it. Why are two files changed? Because we changed. Oh gosh. Oh yeah, okay, that's fine. Feet, move, roll stuff to. Yeah, it's not a great description, but. So back to home. Yes, as I was starting to do, we will choose, I think we've got role ID, right? So we've then got get role ID. Pretty sure this will return as an option of UUID. We can pass role ID into role description. Is that what I want to do? Because this is a bit more complex than just an ID. So if I do it this way, I'll have to reload the role inside of role description. But what I probably actually want is just the entire role. So maybe what I need to do is, oh gosh, this is called a lot. Okay. Well, that's the one we're looking at right now. Oh, these are tests. Well, that's all fine. I mean, the test is going to be wrong after I do this because this is going to get us the role. So I will have to change that, which means creating a role. I mean, I think this is the right thing to do, right? We probably want a role, not the role ID, which will come with the role ID. So we might as well, when we select the role, we have the role to hand. So we might as well just put the entire role into the context of the application so that we can work with that. I think that's the right way to go. That's what I'm going to say. So first things first, we need to go to this to get context as an application context. Oh my goodness, this is here. Okay, so we do not want this to be an ID anymore. We would like this to be... Oh, hello. Hang on a minute. What is company context? This is interesting. So company context contains the ID of the company. Yeah, this is fine. It's just an aspect of this. So this is just going to be a role. Okay, so I think the reason for this is that the company context itself may or may not be set. If it is set, it has to have a UUID, and then the role may or may not be set. So this is all actually fine. Role, create role. Yeah, that's okay. Can't be copy, of course, now, which might be an issue, but we'll see. UUIDs are copy, but strings are not, so we won't be able to use that. We'll see whether that matters or not. Should still be all right. Subtitle company ID, that's okay. Why are you sad? Consider cloning the value if... I don't need to clone the value. Is it because of using this map? Because it's an option. The ID actually is copy. That's an interesting one. No, I knew that wasn't a function, I don't know what. Oh, it's because of the map, because company context is no longer, so this is the exact issue. So company context used to be copy. So when we did company context.map, it didn't take ownership of it. It took I need the okay part of it, but I don't want map. So no. Huh. And then you're gonna be sad because it's a option UID, but found. Hang on, let's put this onto. I mean, I know it's already on a new line. It's just the format has changed it. So I have the object that is owned, but I want the inner of it. Okay, I think it's documentation time. So stud option. Rust. Oh, no, there we go. The option type. Okay, let me bring this onto the other screen. Well, opening up far too many desktops, but so we would like to get the inner part of it. So the inner part of it, the ID, the company ID is UUID, which is copy. Will this work? This might work. Let's do... There we go. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So basically, we want to get this as a reference, not use the actual thing. Then when we map it, it's an option of reference of this, and then we can take the ID, which, because it's copy, will just come back out as a UID. So that's fine. Then down over here where we've got the get role ID, we want to rename this to get role. And we want to rename this to set role. And this is now going to take a role. Role. So that should make company context.set role. That's probably not been fixed yet. Company context. Oh, we have fixed it. Oh, because I renamed it. So that should be fine. And then this one is going to also probably be an and then. Oh no, not and then. As ref. Or not. Because this needs cloning. Okay. Expected UID, which is wrong now. Okay. I mean, oh, we could just do better, couldn't we? We could just do... we could do this. And only clone it when we actually need to. Are you sad because of the lifetimes expected? What? What? Because that will modify that. So our type is... This is fine, right? Maybe it's just another asref. Guesswork. So that should allow us to get and set the role. Obviously have some tests to fix because we were testing role ID before, so we do have stuff for this. That's... Yeah, I didn't think that was right. What's the UID name? And timestamp new, I think. Okay. Oops. Stepped on the pedal again. Okay. I'm hoping to get this all done by 9. We'll see how it goes. This function takes 1 argument. Oh yeah, the actual timestamp we actually just can use now in this case, I think, because we are in the test context in this case, which does have that function available to it. Yeah, okay, cool. So we then expect this to be correct. We need to clone it before we insert it, wherever that's happening here. Because we want the original one. I think that should be right. This is now sad because we expect a reference to that role. Yep, cool. Company ID, value used after being moved. Which one is being used after being moved? Oh. I think... No, what? Get role doesn't move ownership, so why do you think that that's happened? Value is moved. Oh, it's moved because of set role. But set role returns a new one. Have I got a spelling mistake? Is that what's happened? Absolutely is. Cool. I think that's that done. Okay, keep going. And grab this, because that's going to be the key bit that we're changing. So just rename that quickly. And then replace it. Company ID needs to be set, so I actually have to take this out. That's interesting. I feel like the code has gotten better. One of these is, there we go, introduce a variable, company ID. Move this up here, there we go. Then we have the same weirdness with this one, so it is just an ampersand, I think. Oh no, because we also have to clone it as well. .clone. I'm not happy about these unwraps, but I'm going to leave them for now. Okay, run our tests. Set roll. Why would you have done that? Oh, okay. Let's just grab these. Oh my goodness. This one, get rid of that. Don't need that line there. Okay, run again. See what happens. Getting there. Set roll. Roll. So we are getting roll at this point. Now this is going to get interesting because where I don't think that will fix the problem because we're moving roll inside of here because it's no longer a reference. It can't be copied in the same way. So we actually okay, fine. We are using ID here, so we probably want to do roll.id. Technically don't need that because it's copy and ID to string, roll.id.toString. That should be fine. It's going to be, what else have we got? Name somewhere. Oh, I'm not seeing name. Okay, roll.name. We'll make that all go away. Maybe. I think I can drop that and then do to string. Maybe. Oh, do I need that? Because there's already a string. Okay, let's see. I think this won't build. Yeah, because we are moving the value of roll. So I think I think the easiest way to do this is probably like let current roll. Oh, let's put everything back to how it was. There was no need to do any of this. All of you back. And then instead of this, we'll do current roll and we'll create the clone outside before we take it apart. So then we've got current roll equal roll.clone. Again, probably not necessarily the best way of doing this. I think we will need to clone it in order to put it in the context, unfortunately. Kind of move current roll, a capture variable, because roll which does not have the copy type, but we don't care. Oh, I do not want to do this. That would be grim, right? It also doesn't work. Okay. But found roll. Yeah, it's okay, it's fine. So what I would like to do is just try and work out how to make this bit work. No, you're not supposed to work. I've now been looking at the word so long that ROLE does not look like a word anymore. Definitely a sign that we need to stop soon, I think. But let's see if we can get to the point where we can store the role description. So test pass, that's a good sign. So the next thing we need to do is, I think we can just go to this. So now we've got the role itself. I think we're good to do it this way. And I think this will be fine. We can then do, need to import. Give that a second. Role.description. That will need to be in one of those because now why are you sad? Cannot resolve description because it gets description. I mean, it's not a function. This is cannot move. Yeah, just Dioxys gets a bit weird with string slices. So we'll probably need to work that one out. I think frustratingly it is probably just going to have to be this. I feel like I'm now cloning it more times than I would have been doing before. Missing a lifetime specifier. Okay, fine. This is now far too many. Yeah, I know. I've just gone like the whole way around of like avoiding cloning the inside of it. Oh, it's also an option as well. Just cloned get me the inside. Yeah, it does. Okay, that's fine. We'll get there. So option overall. I probably, maybe later will create I'll do the same thing that I did with the other things where it either shows you, I mean, I could do it really quickly here actually. Let's just do it in here. So I will probably break this out into different components later. Oops. Weird indentation stuff again. We'll run DX format in a bit. Actually, maybe nothing needs to go in here. Maybe just is empty. I don't know if that needs to be curly brackets. We'll just do that just in case. So terminal. Okay. I have been having problems with the window sizing, but here we go. So if I now select Amazon and then select software engineer, if we're really lucky, we get the role description. So next we need to have a submit button or like a update button on the role description. How often do I want to do this? Probably not on change. So let's just do a button that does it. This is going to be more complicated than 16 minutes worth of stuff. So we're going past 9, I think. I hope everyone is still having fun watching me suffer. Let's see how we do. So I need to get a button. Let's look at the other places that we've done this before. So we have already done this in like the role list item thing here. So, or maybe it's not role list item. Maybe it's populated role list. In here, there should be a thing that lets us create a new one. So it's this basically that we need to add. Yeah, fine. It's not going to be an input anymore. It's going to be this text area. Okay. Let's just minimize this. Get rid of. We'll have to come back to the. No, that's fine. Get rid of that for a moment. Okay, and it's not going to be create role. It's going to be basically we'll create a function called update role. But we need to go and get create role. So the update role. So then we'll go and get create role, and it's basically going to be the exact same thing, except we'll call update instead of create, and we'll just pass in the role with the description changed. Oh, it's a big one. Let create role. Yeah, this is one of the more weirdly complex bits of code. It does not feel like it should be this complex, and yet let's see how we get on with it. So this is going to take some work. We need to get a store. So the stores, basically we need to get like a copy of the stores. This is all very silly, and probably there are better ways of doing it. But we need to get a copy of the stores, but we can't copy it inside of the async context. So this does become it's a closure with an async block in it, but we need to clone it before we go into the async block. This took me so long to work out. I really struggled with it. I guess it's similar to what we had wherever it was earlier, where we had to, when we were trying to manage the role bit information and clone it before passing it into the thing, which is actually no idea. Gosh. Okay, error message is another signal. So let's get that. We might as well also use this as a signal, but we'll change that to description. So role name becomes role description, but this is going to be an interesting one. This will actually be stores. Oh, sorry, no. Okay, so we unwrap role further down, which will give us access to the description, but like with React, and again, sorry for the React comparisons, we can't actually call the get signal like inside of the if else, because you could change the order of execution of the signals, which you can't do in the same way that you can't do that with hooks in React. So we actually are going to need two components, which is what I should have done in the first place. Oh well. So fn will do populated. We'll do the same thing, populated roles description. This is probably going to be more elements in the future. I think it's not the end of the world if the names are bad, but I don't know. Oops, element. Okay. We're then going to move all of this in there. Oops, okay. It's fine. And this becomes role.description in here. So that's what we want to return back in the first place. We'll have to change it, which will trigger some other code to run. That's all fine. Oops. This is also coming away. This is all very angry. Okay, it's because I'm not returning a RSX. So that becomes this. Haven't renamed that yet, so let's just do that quickly. This stuff should be fine. Role stores, guarded mutex. I think this is just a trait issue. I think this might be a trait issue. This is fine. This is going to be update, and then we're just going to put role in here, although we will need to change role to role description is going to be role description. So this is getting the value from the form. If I am causing a lot of confusion, let me know in the chat. I will need to give this an ID, I guess, of role description. Okay, we are then going to go over to doing a match on role. Some role becomes not this, it becomes populated. Populated roles description should only have one S in it. And then this will take... Can I just do that? No. Yes? No. Product description. Yeah, it's because it does actually need to be this, I guess, which makes this. Oops, not that. Don't need to clone it because we're done with it after that. Space there. Okay, we're getting into shape now. This I don't think we care about in the same way. I will have to go and get this handle message here, which should check how that's actually used. So this will, like, if there are any errors that happen while we're updating the role into the thing, we probably want to I don't think this will matter. I should probably be calling this role storage error up here. Okay, so this this line actually will output it to the debugger, which it will appear in the terminal down here. I'm not sure what will happen when you're just running the program normally, actually. But this one produces a string that it puts into a signal, which we use here. So this doesn't matter. Interesting. I've just made a mistake there anyway. Okay, let me do it. Yeah, okay. Cool. Role description .value.set. Which means I can actually use in here instead of this, I can use the role description instead. Okay, I think this is going to work. What we should do is let new... okay, so elsewhere I guess I've done like a method on the object itself to set the description. So I should go back to storage and check that, I guess. Oops. UI, so storage above that. Storage, source, store, role, mod. So we have all these different methods up here. So yeah, I've got set description, which returns, oh no, it just updates the description. That's fine, I'll live with that. Which does mean we'll need to make this a mutable role. No, it doesn't like that. Oh, I think I gained another 5 subscribers. Thank you very much. Let's see. So, not this. I think we're not going to... Why are you sad? You are sad because function parameters cannot shadow constants. Where did I create a constant? Oh, get rid of that. Now, yeah, the problem's going to be I don't know if I can do set description on this. Role description is what we want. Oops, role description. It's not mutable, but we do own it. It is fine, apparently. That's a slight problem. Need to clone it because we use the string twice. There is a lot of passing around strings in Dioxys, which is a bit unfortunate. I mean, we're early days on it. It's like v0.6. And it's still lightning fast, so I'm not gonna. I can't remember which Rust developer was talking about like the 5 stages of handling strings in Rust, and it's like, oh, I could just clone it. No, that's going to be expensive. Can I pass a reference? No, because I need to change it. Well, I could pass a mutable reference, but that won't work because I already have one. What if I did a copy on write? That could work, and then at the end of the day, it's like I could just clone it. It's not, even though we know it's slow because you have to ask for the memory, it's not as slow as I think a lot of people think that it might be. The weird thing though is it is slower than say creating a string in a language like JavaScript where you have a paging file because the memory was already requested. So it's only expensive the first time you go over a paging file limit, and then you will ask for some memory from the operating system, but it will give it to you as quickly as it would for like a small little string anyway. So I think that's kind of interesting that asking, like populating strings in like JavaScript, if you already have the memory available to you, is faster potentially than doing it in Rust, at least from the memory access aspect of it. Right, we are almost there. Cannot find role description in this scope. That is because it is role description value. Getting there. I need to put the error message somewhere, so let's go back to populated role list, and we wrote it in, if let's here, we will put it here. I think that's probably fine, right? Or maybe it should go near the button. Error message isn't imported. Okay, we're getting there. So we've got an issue with probably ownership of something closure, but closure only implements FN once. We are using something incorrectly in here. It is not actually going to tell us. That's a problem. Roll. It's going to be roll. That might be fine, actually. Apparently it wasn't. Closure only implements FN once. That's not as useful of an error message as I would have liked. Let's do, if I run test, I think it will try to compile it. Here we go. Use occurs due to use in closure. So it is roll. Oh, okay. No, value partially moved. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I don't know if that's really okay. Okay, so the problem was we were moving roll into this closure, or like partially moving it in by trying to grab description. So even trying to clone the description afterwards. Oh, no, maybe not. Value partially moved here. Oh, because I didn't call it role description. That's fine. I think it's still going to be that is going to be the issue. So I think it's that we tried moving part of role in here, the role description. But that means then we can't use role in another closure further down. And even trying to clone role.role description still will have moved role in. So I think that's okay. Let's see. Is it running somewhere and hidden again? It's been getting smaller and smaller on my main screen. That's quite funny. So I have low faith in this actually working. But this is a job description. Submit. And then away and back. Oh, that's interesting. Where has it gone? Okay, that's an interesting one. Let's rerun it. That will cause it just to rebuild. Reappear somewhere else again. I will have to work out how like window sizing and stuff works. Again, web developer, not a proper software engineer. So it didn't submit. Okay. I don't have time. It's only just 9. Let's have a look. Let's have a think. So we've got our new role here. Let's do a trace, same as we're doing up here. Tracing error. Tracing debug, I guess. Tracing info, perfect. But we're going to do role instead. I'm pretty sure that role implements debug, so that should be fine. I think it's most likely to be a problem with the trying to use this as a signal. I think this feels icky. We'll see. So, Dioxys. Okay, Amazon software engineer. Hello. Submit. We'll need some feedback when you hit the button as well, I guess. Looks like it didn't actually run, doesn't it? Interesting. So, on submit, update role. Ideas role description. Don't have an error message. Any thoughts, chat? Okay, let's have a look. So we are getting our stores lock here. That's where we get our stores. Then we get the role store. Then we update the role. We await the result. We set the role description to the new role description. We set error message to none. Otherwise, handle the error message. Don't think the problem is there. It just feels like this isn't running. The updates role. Let's do tracing info. Sure, why not? So we're expecting to see update role in here when we get it back again. I am just going to let's just bring this down. We'll bring this over. Amazon software engineer. Submit. Update role. So we do get that far. It is possible that we don't get in here. So let's think about... I wonder if event values are debug. Oops. Looks like no. Oh, it doesn't implement display, it might implement debug. Still no? There we go. Okay. Amazon, software engineer, submit. So the event contained nothing. So there we go. There's a problem with the text box. Okay, that's not too bad. HTML mistakes I am much more familiar with. So let's just check the element actually is got an ID. So it's just going to end up being like submit element, submit text area. Name. Name. Just want to do a full rebuild. I'm not 100% sure if I caught that doing a second one. I've had these drinks next to me the whole evening and have not slurped away. Okay. If this works, we will have succeeded. Submit. There we go. Another company, Amazon. Now it's still not making the box reappear, so we'll work that one out in a minute. I think it's not making the box reappear because this isn't changing. If I were to do, let's say, I think this is what it is. This could be a mild issue. It still not works. It's possible that, let's do, that's, yeah, okay. Well, I don't know if it's possible to do like proper debug with breakpoints in Dioxys. That would be quite useful. Roll. I'm going to assume that is going to pass by reference, might not actually, but if it doesn't, we can just put an ampersand in front of it. Okay. Amazon, software engineer. Oh, okay, so there is still a bug there, but it did save, so that's good. There we go. There's our description. Interesting. Okay. Okay, I'm going to work on this for a few more minutes. Let's do a save. We'll do a whip though, because it's not actually working. Let's shrink this down. Let's just check what we have actually changed. Role list item. Why did we change this? Why did we change this? Because we were making role available to everything. Let me just have a think. You know what else I haven't done is dx format. You know that would bite me. You know that would bite me. Okay, so this is probably fine. Role information. This is where we just added our new store thing, a new, component. This we were changing to store the entire role. I think that's fine. This is also fine. So, whip. Role description. The word still looks funny to me now. Role description now saves, but bugs in UI mean it won't show. Right. Commit push. Okay, so there's a couple of issues. The first one I think is this issue where when you click on a radio, it doesn't actually. Did it again. Okay, Fast rover. When you click on radio, when you change between companies, I think we need to make sure that it unselects everything in the roles list. So let's start with that one. This is going to be in UI. Back into presentation mode, open up that window, UI. So company list, when company list changes, but it's the populated role list that's actually causing the problem. So basically, let's load up the program. DX serve. I do need to go back to renaming this desktop because it's getting really confusing when I have more applications. But I'll have to fix the CI process when it does. Let's make this not that. And this over here. Okay. It does behave in really weird ways. Okay, so we can inspect in here, which is quite nice because it is just a web view. So if I inspect the roles here, what's interesting is we select one here, but if we go to another company, it automatically selects Rockstar. If we kind of refresh, cannot. So let's just do. Sorry. Okay. It's very odd. It's very odd the way it behaves. I think O just reopens it. Okay, so if I go between these, though, it doesn't select any of them. So I think it's the fact that the list itself has probably got like an item select. It's probably like a weird, quirky HTML thing. Oh, thanks, Frank. Thanks for joining in. Okay, let's think about this. So it's going to be an aspect of the LI, which I bet does not actually change because it's only re-rendering the stuff that needs to change. So what we could do, that I think will fix the problem, is put the company ID in the LI for the list of roles. Or we could even put it higher up than that, but the only thing that's actually changing is... Interesting, but does that change? Hang on a minute. We already did this, so... well, sort of. We've got the class here. I could make it the key. I don't know that would actually make any difference. The class changes, but it still treats it as being the same item. I think we might be able to fix it just by giving it a key with the same thing. I mean, it's right there, isn't it? Key... I don't know why I've got that surrounded in double quotes. I don't. Oh, the other thing is, frustratingly, I have a feeling that this is going to cause problems, is it? Sorry, let's go back up to Amazon software. No, that did not solve the problem. I'm surprised it's not broken, though. Because I'm using a string twice, but I am using it inside the RSX, so it must be doing some magic. Or key just does not work. That is a possibility, I guess. Okay, where is company ID coming from? It's going to be early, I think. Oh, it's literally being passed in as... Oh, as a UUID. Okay, so it must be getting... Okay, that's why it's still working, because UUID is copy, so putting it in a string like this must literally be turning it into a string, because it must have display. That's probably what's going on. So key doesn't do the trick for us. I'm not doing anything with roles, so I could potentially get away with this. Sorry, with ID. It might work. Why didn't it? It just broke while I was editing it, didn't it? Okay, so one more time. If this doesn't change... Okay, it does not re-rendering the list. I could be wrong about why this is. So maybe just need to Google this. Unselect roles list. Radio. Select radio on change. This is put it in a weird window again. Okay, there we go. I mean, let's look at how other people do it in other languages. It shouldn't be a major issue, I wouldn't think. Key the component, okay. Okay, I know this is going to be really anticlimactic, but I'm exhausted. So I'm going to say I'm going to make this a bug to fix another time. I probably won't do it on stream, but I can, if I do another stream, I will talk about how I fixed it. I think I'm going to call it here. I'm so happy that people decided to join me for this, and I'm really, really thankful for all of the help and advice you guys have given me. So thank you so much for joining me. If you would like to see more of this, drop by the Discord and let me know there. Link for the Discord should be in the description of this video. If you have any other thoughts, please do leave comments. This will be VOD'd, so at some point I'll probably just do some like little trims at the beginning and end. But yeah, thank you so much for turning up. I will let you know how I get on fixing this weird error. I think just as it descended into like not an easy fix, I was like, I don't want to draw this out for hours with you guys watching me being like, I don't know how to fix this. So yeah, we'll come back to it. What I probably would like to stream next though is, again, if people are interested in me doing more of this, is how to handle like JSON files. I need to have a little think about how I want to structure them, because as I showed you at the moment, I'm just dropping a single file called database.db into a library folder for the application, which is super handy in terms of like how that's handled by the operating system for us, or like how that's organized by the operating system for us. But I think if we were to do like a JSON storage, I might do like individual directories for company role and flags, and then have individual JSON files sorted by ID, or like named by ID. That's what I'm currently thinking, but I might need to think a bit more about that. So that's where I might be going next with this. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. It's really weird signing off a stream, but I guess I will see you next time. Thanks so much. I need to find the button to end it now. Bye, guys.